Well, good evening. God bless out there. Hey, it's your boy, Pastor Rod Hickman, and I'm so glad to be here with you on tonight. Another night here where we're Generational Wealth Builders headquarters. And remember, our motto is poverty ends with us. And listen, I'm so glad to be on tonight. I have some friends, some great people that I've met in ministry who have a great testimony. And I just thought it would be befitting to have them on tonight. Tonight, we're talking, as you can see from the title, we're talking about debt is not your friend. And these people have done something that is phenomenal for them to be as young as they are. They've done some phenomenal things in their life. And so I'm not going to spend too much time prattling along. But I'm going to give them the opportunity to come in and introduce themselves to you so that we can all begin to gain the information that's necessary for us to get to a place where we can truly begin to build generational wealth. Now, again, we're talking about debt tonight, and debt is not your friend. And so I want to start off by saying that there is some good debt out there. However, if that debt is not managed, that debt has a way of creeping up on you. And you have to have a resilient attitude towards debt. Your attitude towards debt has to be extremely vigilant to make sure that you minimize debt. And here's the thing: our guests on tonight are very much knowledgeable entrepreneurs, which you know I love. I love and support entrepreneurs. So I thank God for them being on tonight. And I want you, if you have any questions, comments, post it in the chat, and we'll definitely get your question answered tonight. If not, we'll Google it and see what we can come up with. But without any further ado, I want to introduce to you tonight Minister Tim and Evangelist Renee Brown, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee, and Tune, Tennessee. Welcome to the broadcast on tonight. May the Lord bless you. How y'all doing tonight?
Pastor Rod.
Doing well.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone out there?
My name, like you said, is Mr. Tim Brown. I'm IT analyst at Methodist Lavonner Healthcare. And like you said, I am a minister and a father of three. And we are on that debt freedom journey.
All right.
Amen. And I am Renee Brown, Evangelist Renee Brown, and I am an entrepreneur. I own the company Castano Spanish Teachers, where we specialize in laying the foundation in acquiring the Spanish language. And we both have 3 children. We've been married 14 years as of yesterday. And we're all about making sure we're managing our money and stewarding the money that God blesses us with in the right way.
Absolutely. And that's brilliant. And again, I definitely want to thank y'all for coming out the Bat Cave just to be on with your boy. I definitely appreciate that, right? For 14 years, that's a milestone. I figured y'all be somewhere in the French Riviera or something.
Right. COVID wouldn't let us be great.
Rona always messing something up, right? All right, so let's talk. So you're actually debt free. So tell us about that.
Well, our journey to debt freedom started about, 4 years ago, 2017, 18?
Yeah.
My wife and I, when we got married, my wife, she had some student loan debt, and she had a few other debts too. But the student loan was the biggest debt. And over the course of time, we would talk about it. I would try to encourage her to let's pay this debt off. Let's get out of this debt, because I just seen it so much where student loans have that weight and that burden, how people carry that to their grave. A lot of people carry it to their grave, and I did not want that.
Right. But when we first married in 2007, my husband had this great idea that we could take my income that I was making as a school teacher and just hit my student loan debt, which at the time was still in the 30,000s, like the mid 30,000s. That's what I had, right? But my mind frame had not shifted.
Mm-hmm.
And we could have lived off of his salary, and this was before we had kids or anything like that. But my mind frame, I still had the frame of mind like a poor person or a person, you know, and he was trying to convince me we need to get this off of us. But it took 9 years, and yes, 9 years is a long time. And I really lamented over that once I realized that I should have listened to my husband. But it really started to sink in once we had started having children. And then I was staying at home with the children, and we didn't have that extra money, but my student loan debt had accrued and gotten bigger. And so I was like, oh God, I should have listened to my husband, you know. And the Lord just basically told me, you know, don't cry over spilled milk, and thank God that your mind is changing now, right? So I started listening to Dave Ramsey while my husband was at work, and hearing all about debt freedom, and hearing all these people talk about how they came out of these bukus of debt. Now, at this time, my student loan debt had increased from like 30s into almost 50,000. I was at 49, and Tim and I calculated it. We actually paid off over $50,000 in student loan debt.
Close to 60.
Close to 60. Wow.
Yeah.
So it was a lot, right?
Yep.
But while I was listening to him, listening to Dave Ramsey, I got on board with what my husband had been preaching to me for the longest. And we decided that we were going to do the Dave Ramsey plan, which is Financial Peace University. And from there, we just, you want to tell them about how we paid the debt off?
Yeah, so from there, we, like she said, we got on Dave Ramsey's plan to get out of debt, which pretty much tells you need to kind of, first and foremost, you got to get a budget.
Yep.
I've heard you say that the budget, that's the foundation of your financial roadmap. If you don't
absolutely,
you know, you're not gonna make it to pay off debt, because that budget, it lays the foundation, and you pretty much, you know, you're telling your money where to go instead of your money telling you where to go. And you know, you
absolutely
get to the end of the month and you try to figure out where's my money go. You know,
that's right.
So you don't know, and
that's right.
So that's what we did. We started budgeting. You know, we started having monthly budget meetings. You know, to make sure we track our money.
Really?
And we still do that now.
Do it to this day.
To this day, every month. We're coming up on one, aren't we, Becky?
Yeah.
Every
we
month.
Have our monthly budget meetings, and we decide.
Who hold the meeting? Who chairs the meeting?
I'm the chairman.
Okay.
And so we started on that plan, and you know, it tells you, you know, on his plan to start paying your, you know, the smallest debts off first.
That's right.
Start small. So,
that's right.
And then they will have what they call the debt snowball. So once you pay that one off, whatever you had paying on that debt, you take it and
pay on the other. Yeah.
Top it, snowball it, and you just keep going from one debt, the smallest to the largest.
That's right.
You know, as we went down that journey, as we kept snowballing, you know, we started feeling like we were making progress. And when you have those goals and you start paying off debts, even if you pay off a small one, you feel good. You feel like, hey, I can do this. You start to get confidence that you can actually get out of debt. You know, and budgeting and paying off debt, it's mostly, it's not a lot of head knowledge. You don't have to be you know, a rocket scientist.
Sure don't.
It's 10% head knowledge and 90% behavior.
Absolutely.
You can change your behavior, you can change the way you money.
So let me jump in here. So because again, I know y'all kind of you know, just really dropped a whole lot of science for everybody out there. And again, I hope people out there are taking notes. If not, you can always go back and hear it. And again, I do want to interject that if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to post them in the chat and we'll definitely address them. But Lady Brown, you talked about your mindset change. Why were you resistant to change? Why do you feel like you were resistant to change?
Well, first off, I never seen anybody come out of student loan debt in my family like that. Most of the people that I knew personally in my family, with an exception of a few, went to school off of student loan debt, and they never had intentions of just paying it off. They had reconciled that this was going to be with them for the rest of their lives, or at least until they were older, and that it was okay. And they were told that, we were all told that that's good debt. So in my mind, I just didn't think it was possible because I hadn't seen it done. And I think that happens to a lot of people. They don't think something is possible because they have not seen that walked out.
That's right.
When I got to listening to the debt-free screens on the Dave Ramsey show, and I would hear people paying off debt that was much greater than mine, and they were younger than us, and didn't make as much money as we were making. It just fueled me. It's like faith comes by hearing, right? And so just hearing that testimony, and if somebody's watching on tonight who feels like student loans are like the elephant in the room, you don't want to talk about them, you feel like you just can't get out, or any type of debt, just know that listening to people's stories and how God brought them out, it really does help to build your faith, because it helped to build mine.
That's wonderful. And bro, Tim, I heard you basically say, you're basically talking about the discipline mindset. Yeah. So what's your motivation to be disciplined in budgeting, right?
Well, my motivation is to, number one, I want to be able to provide for my family, because if I'm not disciplined, then, I can go out and buy all these cars and toys and stuff. And when it comes time to pay the bills, pay the house, pay the mortgage, and pay the light, we won't be able to have our basic needs met. We need to have our basic needs met first. So I want to meet my basic needs first, and then I want to, like you said, I want to build some generational wealth.
That's it.
Generational wealth, and I think a lot of times, amongst, in my family, I've never heard of generational wealth, but that's something starting with me.
That's right.
Let my children have that mindset of building generational wealth, and I know it takes discipline. You have to be very disciplined. I mean, because in today's world, we have a kind of a microwave in our society. We want what we want, and we want it now.
That's right. That's right.
You have to say, okay, I know what I want, but you know what? I can wait. I can sacrifice.
That's right.
But you gotta have discipline to be able to sacrifice to reach those goals that are long term, and not just your short term impulses, of things that you want.
Absolutely. And because I'm, a lot of people know I'm really into guns, and I don't believe you can ever have enough guns. I just don't believe that, right? But again, what you're talking about is so true. It's that discipline, right? And my wife will tell you, as much as I love guns, I'll go into a gun store knowing good and well I don't need to be going into no gun store, right? Because that's like walking into a lion's den with pork chop drawers on, expecting not to get bit. Right. But I've disciplined myself to such a degree where I may see something that I want, but I'll be like, you know what? I'll think about something else that I'm trying to do, right? And so, again, when we go back to budgeting, budgeting is the roadmap. Yes. And quite often I've said on here, and I continuously try to share it, that what we must understand is that if your money is not working for you, you're working for your money. Exactly. And one thing about it is money will catch the wings of the morning and it'll find somewhere to go. Things so simple as, how much do you eat out?
That's a big one.
That's a big one. Yeah.
That's a big, but we don't think about it because we've gotten to the point now where everything is so about status, right? Like when I see people buying Starbucks, I'm kind of like,
yeah.
Every day, yes.
Starbucks is a treat. It's like a treat for us. Well, my husband Starbucks, but like my daughter, she likes a certain drink at Starbucks, but she didn't get that drink until mama and daddy was way out of debt, right? But it's still like a treat.
That's
it's
right.
not like the norm for us. We don't stop by Starbucks every day. I want to say something about the budget. As you and my husband have stated, the budget is like, it's really key to achieving your financial goals, right? That and hard work. But when it's a couple, when it's, you have your spouse, the power of agreement is so important. You have to agree. And that's the thing. If you've not done a budget together, your first couple of months of budgeting, it may be tough for you guys because you're going to learn just how differently you think about money. And that's okay. That's normal. You may even have a couple of money spats. I don't want to say, you may have some disagreements because it's like the two becoming one in the area of budgeting,
right?
In the area of finances, and you get so far ahead when you all are on the same page financially. So once Tim and I hack it out over the budget, because every month we do this. I mean, we tell our money where it's going. And so once we do this, that's it. So during the month, if I decide I want to go and purchase, you said your guns, I like handbags. I like handbags. I do. It was like, yeah. If I decide I want to go get, a nice handbag, if that's not in our budget, if we haven't agreed on that,
right,
I have to say, no, Renee, you can't have that handbag. And it's actually not saying no, it's saying
not right now.
Later, not right.
That's right.
Not right. So eventually I can get it. But those first couple of months as a couple, you have to give yourself some grace, and you have to know that you may butt heads when it comes to money, but it's so important that you get on the same page, because when Tim and I got on the same page, we began to we paid off $50,000, over 50,000. Tim said it was about 60. I thought it was over 50, but I know that we paid that off in 26 months.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That's the power of agreement.
That's right.
Power of agreement.
Yes.
Wow. And that's phenomenal. And again, people need to hear that. And I want to make sure that I applaud you all, because again, I don't think a lot of people, and again, and I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit, Bro Brown, when we talk about people truly understanding money and the concept of generational wealth. I don't know about you, but I wasn't taught about money. I just knew that I didn't want to be broke, right? And like we all say, just throughout life, I mean, I've done stupid stuff with money. Sometimes when I think about the amount of money that's passed through my hands, I'm just like, God almighty, no, but I thank God for being able to go through what I went through,
right?
Because now I understand the value of money, right? And I think even when you're talking about the Starbucks being a treat, I think when we do that, I think that's when you're teaching your children the value of money. You don't teach them the value of money by just getting them everything that they want and just because you have it, right? We've become such a society that cares more about it being on our backs and folks being able to see it on our backs and folk being able to say, man, you got that and you riding on them 24s or those 36s or whatever the case may be, but it has no intrinsic value, especially them roads in Memphis. I wouldn't, man, look at here, man, I wouldn't, man, all right, okay, I don't even want to ride stock through Memphis because, again, that's just a wasted, it's a wasted investment. And so what I want to know from you all, how did you resist the urge to splurge and start spending money once you all actually got debt free? How do you resist that urge, especially around tax time when you get some extra money in? Come on, we all get ballers then. That's when we go buy fur coats to wear in the summertime, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like you say, it's a mindset, and you have to be able to be able to go against the grain. You know, you have to go against the culture, pretty much.
Mhm.
You know, once you get in that mindset, it becomes a habit. It becomes nature. And so even when you come out of debt, you still have that mindset. You still have that nature, and you really, you know, when you spend your money, you really think about it. You don't really make a lot of what's the word?
Spare of the moment.
Yeah, spur of the
decisions.
moment decisions with your money. You don't really do that. I mean, you may do it every now and then, but for the most, you really have that discipline. It's become a habit.
You're not spontaneous.
Right.
You're not a spontaneous spender.
Yeah. Yeah, and we all know. I think one of those things too is that when you do create your budget, you have to reward yourself, right? And I think that's something that a lot of people, when they think about a budget, they feel like, man, I ain't gonna get to have control of my money, but that's not the case.
No, that it's actually the opposite.
The opposite.
I was just gonna add to what Tim was saying, is that the budget really helps us not to go too far with spending, even though, you know, we've been out of debt for some time now. It's again agreeing on that budget, and we both have the things that we like to do.
Right.
We both have a nice, you know, we have spending money that we can go and splurge and stuff.
Right.
But if it exceeds our spending money that's allotted to us for that month, then we can't do it that month.
That's right.
And it's really submitting to that budget.
Mm-hmm.
A budget is not just made just to say, "Ooh, I did a budget." It's made so that we can actually follow that plan.
Absolutely.
Down to the T. And that I think has really kept us in line with that.
And like you say, when you get out of debt, then that frees up the money for
That's
you.
right.
And reward yourself a little more often than you do.
That's right.
So you're able to do that.
And you can pay off things. For example, the Lord blessed us. We saved for 2 years. The 2 years we paid our own self a generous car note for 2 years. We didn't pay it to the banks or anything like that. We just paid ourselves, and we saved up for our car. So when we went to buy our vehicle, and it was a really nice vehicle, we just paid cash. And like the man that we bought it from, he's an ex-cop. He ran all kind of checks just to make sure we were legit, like this is a good check, because he hadn't seen anybody write that amount of money out and have it in savings. We were able to finance our own
That's right.
vehicles.
That's right.
And it wasn't like a beater. Not that anything is wrong with driving a beater, you know what I mean? Because you drive your beater until you can get something better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's right. That's right.
But we were a nice vehicle. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but Tim and I, we've never done that
That was
before.
our first
That
time.
was something major for
And
us.
that was a goal.
Yeah.
That as a goal.
That's right. That's right.
Oh.
That's right. And I think and I really appreciate what you're saying here, because I think what happens sometimes to people is once they get out of debt the first time, or they get to a point where their debt is manageable, they jump right back off into the
Right back in it. Yep.
you get back in the debt. So that's definitely commendable to the two of you to not get back into debt. But to be your own lending agency, that's phenomenal. I mean, that speaks volumes. And I just think that if a lot more people would take on that mindset that, you know what, I've got to take care of me. I can tell you that, when I deal, especially with, when I do financial fitness analysis for people, right? And that's kind of the precursor to what it is that we do as far as creating the budget, right? Where are you? What is your income versus, we try to understand exactly where they are, because a lot of the times, and I'm gonna go back to something that when we started out, one thing I love about the fact is that you all are not embarrassed about where you were. because it's where you were. It's not where you are now.
Right.
And I think a lot of the times people are ashamed to say where they are, but you can't be ashamed. You have to say, look, man, I need help. And a lot of the times people don't want that help. And a lot of times they'll rather suffer in silence. They'll rather continue to pay those predatory loans. They'll rather continue to pay those high interest rates instead of actually just saying, I need some help. I know what you mean about those student loan debts. I got my master's degree and I ran up a ticket to like $70,000 and I'm still paying it off. But man, I'm like, I was expecting the money train to come in,
Right.
I'm still waiting. I think the track blew up down the road or something. I'm still waiting on that money train. But I say that to say, what that did was it got me to a point where now that's what we're ardent about. My wife and I, we're ardent about, eliminating debt. We call it debt stacking, where you basically, and just for everybody out there that's listening, where you allocate, let's just say, an additional $100 and you start putting that towards your debt. We start lining your debt up and we start paying your debt off, right? So whatever credit card, if you got a credit card that's $200, we allocate that additional $100 to whatever you paid on that, right? And then we pay that off. Then we take what you paid for that credit card plus that additional $100, and we put that toward the next bill. That's what they were talking about when they were talking about debt snowballing or debt stacking. But that's what has to be done, right? It's that life of discipline, because the thing is, most people think, well, I paid that off. Let me take that $100 back. No, that $100 got to be dead and gone.
Right.
You got to be dead and gone.
Not even there. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, like you say, that's one thing. A lot of people they don't want you to mess with them and their money. They don't want you to mess with them and their money. A lot of people don't. But if you really want it, if you really want to get out of debt, you have to have a made up mind, and you need to try to seek out and try to get around people who have that mindset that you're trying to get, so that they can encourage you. Because if you're around a lot of people who they don't have a problem carrying debt, then it's gonna be hard on you trying to get out, because they're not gonna encourage you. They're gonna say, man, what's wrong with that, man?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that kind of speaks to when we were going through coming out of debt, there were a lot of people, good people that we love, just really did not understand why we wanted to come out. Like, why was this so important, and why do you have to do it so fast, and why they did not understand our why, right?
Right.
And, I am more prone to be a spender. My husband is more of a saver, right?
Yep.
So it was hard for me to be around people. I cared a little bit more. Let me just tell the truth. I cared a little bit more about what people thought. My husband could care less, and he really could. He doesn't care. So we had to kind of distance, not be rude or anything, but just distance ourselves from the pressure to conform to what is America's norm when it comes to debt, which is everybody, people have it. 8 out of the 10 people in your neighborhood don't have $1,000 saved up in the bank.
That's right.
That's stats, right?
I think it's more than that.
8% of Americans live, they live a life that's full of debt, and they live from paycheck to paycheck. That is the norm. So when you decide to come out of debt and build wealth, you are swimming against that current, and you will feel the current, right?
Absolutely.
I remember, because when we were coming out of debt, we cut a lot of things. We cut a lot of eating out. We cut like the unnecessary stuff. I mean, it was to the point where at the time our church was, they were saying we're going to get T-shirts for something, right? And, T-shirts for all of us, it's 5 of us, and it was $20 a piece. That's $100, right? And I was like, we can't afford the T-shirts, and you get no response. What do you mean you can't afford to teach your husband, an IT analyst, you're a teacher? But we couldn't because
That's right.
Getting that debt.
That's right.
And once we came out of the debt, people who didn't understand before began asking us.
Yeah.
That's right.
The light bulb went off then. Yeah.
That's right. So I want to talk about that. And let me say this here. We must be doing really well tonight because we've had the greatest jurisdictional secretary in the wide world to join us tonight, and Superintendent Christopher D. Pfeiffer. May the Lord bless you, sir. I'm so honored to have you on tonight. But listen, because again, and that's one thing I want to talk about, right? Because like I told y'all, I want to make sure that we're helping people, right? And I understand fully that there are things that we do in ministry that are needs. But I also understand in ministry there are things that are not necessarily needs, right? And a lot of the time what happens is that we see where the church will put up something and we'll say it's a need, but it's really not a need. And a lot of time people end up spending money and giving up money in hopes of, with the intent of supporting what's being said, but it goes against their budget. And me personally, I think that that's something that we have to reteach in church. I think we have to reteach that, listen, man, I would, but I can't, right? What do you think?
I agree with that. There, like you say, there are things that are needs, and there are things that are not necessarily needs. And for us, when we were coming out of debt, like you say, our needs as far as concerning church, our tithes and our offering, we never stopped paying that.
We always paid our tithes.
Right. That's non-negotiable. We're gonna do
That's
that.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
I believe though, if more pastors had the mindset that you have, when you help your congregants, when you help them manage their debt and come out of debt, you're helping them their peace of mind, their mental state, you're
That's
helping all around. It helps them all around. And the thing too, if pastors will really get this, when you help your members get out of debt, they're freer to give.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They're freer.
Absolutely.
And we were blessed at the time to be at a church that allowed us to teach Financial Peace University. And at that time, there weren't many African American churches that even offered FPU. So, I just want to say, thank you to Pastor John Smith of Rosemark Church, because he allowed us to teach that class.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big blessing to the members who attended, because I think one year, like, how much did they pay off in debt? Like, it's a 9-week course, right? Mm-hmm. And it was like, what, $25,000 in debt total from the class that was paid off in 9 weeks.
Wow.
So that was amazing. But it is, we have to shift from getting in lines and thinking that if I sow this, some type of magical, something, not magical, but some type of blessing is just going to come and wipe all the debt away. Not saying that God can't do that, but most of the time, God is more interested in building our character.
Absolutely.
Is giving us a whole lot of blessings. We are blessed.
Yep.
Our character is important. And when you have worked and come out of debt and disciplined yourself and said no to yourself, you've developed character to stay out of debt and
That's
to be.
Right. That's right.
But if something is just given to you, sometimes you don't have the character to stay away from the debt, and you end up right back in the cycle again. That's
right. It's kind of like lotto, right? It's like we've made the church almost like Tunica, right? Yeah. We got this prophet coming in. Now he a big name prophet, and he got the $100 line. But then if you really want to be blessed, we got the $200 line, right? And now if you want special exclusive, if you want the Lord to do something for you within 24 hours, then we got the $500 line. And that foolishness is antichrist. I don't care who I don't care who you are, it's antichrist because it goes against the scripture. That's the same thing, in my opinion, what Balaam did with Balak.
Yes.
When he told him, I'll pay you to go and curse God's people. First and foremost, you can't speak apart from the Lord. At least you shouldn't be speaking apart from the Lord. But we've allowed this stuff, and it's become popular because we feel like because I am doing it, I'm doing it in good faith, so the Lord is going to bless me in good faith. But that's not always the case. It's not always the case because, again, a lot of times I think we just get caught up in the hype and we are not disciplined because I can remember there was a time and I guess I was kind of a seasoned minister, but I heard a leader say something and that thing flew all over me because what you got to know about me is I stick with the scriptures, straight, no chase, right? And I remember we were in a session and the leader made the statement and said, you know what, brethren, if you want to move up in this church, you need to be seen giving. So automatically I'm like, oh, fam, because the Bible let me know that blessing come from promotion come from above, right? So first of all, I'm already like, whoa, this ain't right. So I'm like, well, maybe, and I'm talking about in my head, I'm like, well, maybe he's talking about you have to give your time, your talent, and your finance, right? That maybe that's what he's talking about. Yeah. Then he came through and wiped that away and told me, say, you see me? You see where I'm at? I gave my light bill money. I gave my bill money, and you see where I'm at. No. And at that point in time, I'm like, well, he removed that. So that's anti-scripture.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't care who you are. When you go against the scripture, it's the spirit of the Antichrist. And I know I'm not trying to get into the word of God, but I think that we need to understand this as believers, that in order to be good stewards, that means that we have to be good stewards. We can't start making excuses because those excuses are what will cause us to deviate from our budget. It'll cause us to deviate from where it is that we're already on track to. That's why the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain, that he may run that readeth it. We can look at that budget as a vision because that budget is the roadmap for where you want your family to be.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
You know, we learned early on that we decided early on that we were not going to be manipulated into giving anything.
That's right.
And, you know, unfortunately, that happens a lot in certain settings. And we just would not give in to manipulation because that's not coming from your heart.
That's right.
If you're giving, if you're doing something for the Lord, it needs to come from your heart because God, that's what he's looking at. And what we found since we have come out of debt, we've just been able, as my husband stated, to give more and to do more. And it's not like anybody. We were sitting in a service not too long ago, and one of the missionaries from Asia was giving his testimony about what God is doing in Asia and how he's moving. And the Spirit of the Lord spoke both to myself and my husband. I looked at him and I asked him about giving a certain amount, giving something. And he looked at me and said, I was just going to ask you about that too. And we were both just on one accord with that. And that just shows you that you don't have to, people don't have to be manipulated to give. If they're real saints of God, they're going to want to give.
Absolutely.
But we're going to want to know what we're giving to.
That's right. What about the building fund? Well, you ain't even changed the doorknob or a light bulb. Come on, fam. Stop lying to God's people. Stop lying to God's people. And so I guess they're trying to tell us it's time to wrap it. Is it ho now? All right now. Look at here. Y'all getting too long-winded up in here. But listen, so let's wrap this up, right? So, and again, I thank God for y'all being on. I really thank God for you sharing your testimony. Let me ask this one question. So, as far as retirement goes, one of the things that I really try to stress to people is that you need to know your retirement numbers. So in your family, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the tools that what's some of the products and services that you all use in order to pad your retirement so that your money can exponentially grow?
Well, first of all, I would always, if you have a job and your job has a retirement plan, I would contribute to that. And especially if they have a matching plan. If your matching plan, if they match 2, 3, 4, 5, 6%, and you don't match, that's free money. You leave it on the table.
Okay.
Money on the table. If they have a matching plan, always contribute to the job. If I do that, my job, they have a retirement plan and they have a match, and they match, up to 6% of whatever I contribute. So we also do outside of that, we do additional IRAs, Roth IRAs that we contribute to, and use. There are a lot of companies out there. I like Vanguard. Vanguard, they have a lot of good retirement packages out there. They have a lot of even just regular savings packages. Vanguard. We use what's the other one we use?
I forget, baby.
Yeah.
But we recommend that you put back anywhere with around 15%. Once you come out of debt, around 15% of your income needs to be going into retirement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
like I was saying, you really need to understand
that
retirement, especially from your work. If it's tax free, and I know a lot of people saying that how it's pre-tax. I mean, so if you're making 50,000 and you're putting in money to retirement, you put 10,000 in that year, you're only gonna get taxed on 40,000 on your income. So you're saving money. You have to understand and know all the ways you can save and make your money work for you. And
absolutely,
that's a big way to make your money work for you.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, it has been a joy and a privilege. And if any of our listeners out there have any questions before we cut this off tonight, now would be a good time to go ahead and submit those by way of comment. But listen, I just want to thank y'all. I'm so godly proud of you for being so young and being at a point right now where you can actually help people. And I know, Lady Brown, you are an entrepreneur, and everybody knows how I feel about entrepreneurs. So tell us what it is that you do again. You might have told us in the beginning, but go ahead and close out one more time.
I own Castano Spanish Teachers, which is, I'm a consultant. So I have a pre-K Spanish program called Little Estrellas. And we go into different childcare centers that are privately owned throughout Memphis, and we implement our preschool Spanish program. I have been established for 10 years now. If you want to check us out, we're at www.castañospanish.com, and you can read more about it. And you can even see video testimonials, and you will see all of the schools that our program is in. But yes, I started doing that. God gave us this idea. He gave it to my husband, really, because I was teaching our 2-year-old, our first daughter, Spanish, and she would be coming, when Daddy would come through the door, she would be like, "Hola," and she would be saying her little Spanish to him. And he said, "Babe, I think you need to start a business with this. I think this could work with childcare centers." And I really didn't think I could. I knew I could do the teaching, but the business side, I wasn't just so keen on. But anyway, God gives us a great incentive for work, right? And I tell people this is the greatest incentive to work and to get ever. The Bible says, if you don't work, you don't eat. And when anybody takes away the incentive to work, that's the devil's business. That's the devil. Because the Lord said, if you don't work, you don't eat. Right. But anyway, my husband was working and I was eating, but I wanted some extra spending money.
Right.
so I finally said, well, maybe I should give this thing a try. So I started the business in 2011, and the business has grown with my children. God blessed us in such a great way that I was able to take my children with me and then come back home. And so, yeah, if you own a child care center and you're looking for Spanish, check me out. That's all I got to do my little bid here.
Yeah, no. That's what we put you out there for. But I'm just gonna tell you, ain't nobody gonna be able to look up no Castanos. They're gonna be like, now how you spell that?
I'm gonna spell it for you. That's CASTANOSPANISH.com.
Okay, how about we use technology? How about you go to this link and you just put it in there? Just put the link. How about we do that? Because I'm just saying. No, but that's phenomenal. But again, that's the whole thing. And here we go again. But that's the whole thing about entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship allows you to be able to take the things that you do and be able to get paid for them, right? It allows you to be able to take your passion. Like I tell everybody, and I don't think a lot of people know, but I started this part-time. I started doing the life insurance and the retirement planning and things like that. I started doing this part-time. So I'd be in my home, in my bedroom, and I had my little office set up, holding my little Zoom calls. But again, it got to the point where I had to invest in me, right? I said, you know what? I'm going to take a stand and invest in me. And I bless the Lord that, we were able to actually move into this building. Again, for about 14 months of me doing it. And if I'm honest, I didn't do it wholeheartedly the whole 14 months because I got discouraged. I'm like, hey, let me talk to you. And people are like, no, I'm good. But since I have invested in me, and this goes to what you were saying, Lady Brown, since I invested in me, and I opened up this building, so many people have been so super supportive. And so many people have just given a listening ear because one thing about it is, like you say, the Bible is right. And when it talks about, we need to take note to what the ant does. The ant is always out there grinding, right? It's always out there grinding. Yeah. And we have gotten to a point where we feel like, as long as I got just a little bit of something, I'm good. I've never seen it so where we just live to tax time, right? Oh, yeah. We live from tax time to tax time, right? When tax time come in, you can tell because you go to a restaurant and everybody in there, right? And then they ain't ordering on the 2 for $22 side. You get what I'm saying? They talking loud now. Damn, I think I want to filet me, y'all. What's this here? Come on, fam. Don't do that, right? But again, but they don't have anything else to actually to show for what it is that they've done. And so I just thank God for you. Thank God for what all you have shared tonight. Again, we must be doing all right because the greatest in the wide world, the superintendent, Christopher D. Pfeiffer, has said this is an excellent presentation. And Doc, I want to get you on because he is actually an accountant. So we definitely want to get on here and talk to him about some things about taxes and maybe how we can, keep more of our money, especially with all these changes that are coming up. So that's an invitation to you, Dr. Pfeiffer. But listen, to the Browns, thank you all so much. Again, we've just got nothing but rave reviews, and we have people saying it's very informative and a lot of shares and a lot of hearts. And I just thank you all for sharing your life, for sharing your journey with us. And we just thank God for you. Okay, so out there in Facebook land, hey, it's your boy, Pastor Rod Hickman. Love you, generational wealth builders, where poverty ends with us. Poverty is a mindset, so that's where we start. If you need a budget, listen, you can reach out to me. You can even reach out to the Browns if you want to. I'm quite sure they'll help you. But reach out to me first, though. I'm just saying, because it's free. For your financial fitness analysis. And let's talk. Let's see where you are. Again, maybe you don't know what your retirement numbers are. You should know what your retirement numbers are. Your retirement numbers are just like your budget. If you don't know what your retirement number is, you will never, ever be able to do to retire. You'll find yourself being one of those one who's having to work well into the time when you should be able to retire. So we're here for you. We love you all and we appreciate you so much. May the Lord bless you and ever keep you. God bless. Good night.
Thank you. God bless.